Calm returns to the streets of Sri Lanka's commercial capital, Colombo, this day after unprecedented protests in the country. On the streets, the protesters, they were jubilant as President Gotabaya Rajapaksa agreed to resign after his house was stormed amid outrage over the South Asian nation's crumbling economy. Now, President Rajapaksa says he would step down on the 13th of July. The development comes after tens of thousands of demonstrators rocked the island nation, bringing the country to a complete standstill. Now, Sri Lanka's parliamentary speaker said on Saturday that President Gotabaya Rajapaksa had decided to step down, bowing to public pressure.
I personally informed the President about the decisions made at the party leaders' meeting today. He agreed to implement those decisions. Also, he informed me and asked me to tell the country that he will resign on July 13th to ensure a peaceful handover of power. Therefore, there is no need to destabilize the country any longer.
Meanwhile, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has reportedly fled after protesters stormed into the residence. Angry demonstrators broke into the Presidential Secretariat, first surrounding the Secretariat. They then clashed with the police before forcibly making their way into the President's house. Now, the country is currently witnessing one of the largest anti-government protests in recent days. Anger among the people has been rising for months, which yesterday reached its peak. Demonstrators also stormed Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe's private home in Colombo to voice their anger, following which the house was set on fire. Now, Wickremesinghe has also offered to resign, however, on one condition, that an all-party government is formed prior to his departure.
මම ජනාධිපතිතුමා යෝජනා කරේ සර්ව පාක්ෂික ආණ්ඩුවක් ඇති කරන්න. අද මේ රටේ ඉන්ධන ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේම ආහාර හිඟයක් තියෙනවා. මේ සඳහා ආහාර වැඩසටහනේ ප්‍රධානීය ලංකාවට එනවා. IMF සංවිධානයේ සමග වැදගත් කරුණු කීපයක් සාකච්ඡා කරන්න තියෙනවා. ඒ නිසා මේ ආණ්ඩුව ඉවත් වුණාම වෙන ආණ්ඩුවක් එවලෙම අපි පත් කරන්න උවමනයි. රටේ ආණ්ඩු පාලනයක් නැතුව ආණ්ඩුවක් නැතුව මේ අවස්ථාවේදී ගෙනියන එක වැරද්දක්. ඉතින් මේ ආණ්ඩුව මම යලිත් කියනවා මේ ආණ්ඩුව ඉවත් වෙනකොට තව අලුත් ආණ්ඩුවක් තියෙන්න ඕනේ.
Now, meanwhile, as this unfolded, reports also suggested that two Sri Lankan ministers have resigned from their posts following the mass protests. Sri Lanka is facing its worst financial meltdown since its independence, with months of frequent power outages and acute shortage of food, fuel and medicines. The crisis has hit a majority of the common households. Foreign exchange reserves have dropped exponentially, and with practically no money, the government had to seek help from its allies and the IMF to keep the country afloat. However, despite some crucial attempts to revive the economy and shift of power within the government, nothing significant has been achieved so far. Now, WION has been tracking all of the developments from ground zero. Our correspondent Dasuni Athoda, who's in Colombo, has sent us this exclusive report from the Presidential Secretariat, a major site for the anti-government protests. Take a look.
Citizens in a country that has been dealing with its worst economic crisis that has now led to an acute shortage of fuel, gas and even certain food commodities continue to come towards the Presidential Secretariat, which has now been completely open to the public after what transpired yesterday following the mass rally that resulted in thousands of protesters storming this specific location, which is known to be one of the most high security and highly guarded properties in Colombo. Much of the protesters feel elated from what took place yesterday, given the fact after months of tireless demands and tireless protests, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa is finally set to resign this coming week. However, Sri Lanka's political future pretty much still has no proper answer as of right now, which only means Sri Lanka's economic crisis has no answer as well. Stay with WION World is One as we track the latest developments here in Sri Lanka. Reporting for WION World is One, I'm Dasmi Athoda.
Now, for more on this, we were earlier joined by Dr. W.A. Abeywardena from Colombo. He's former Deputy Governor, Central Bank of Sri Lanka. Let's listen in.
Yesterday is the culmination of the protest campaign that had been started about, say, 3 months ago. So the culmination was that the protesters had been able to storm the president's house and also the president's office and occupy it. But it does not mean that none of the political or economic problems in Sri Lanka have been solved, because the president, even though he has promised that he would step down, he has not done so far. And of course, he has communicated it not in person but through the speaker. Therefore, there is a doubt that, whether it is the president who has, made that announcement. Then Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe's offer of resignation is also doubtful, because in the past, he had been notorious for making false promises of stepping down but not doing so. So until both the two leaders, the president and the prime minister, have actually tendered their resignation, step down, the country will not be able to move forward. So even though Prime Minister says that there should be a government, there is no government right now. And therefore, it is a matter for the country to set up a government as quickly as possible so that the country can continue forward.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.